one thing that brings with it, I guess, is risk as well, because it's something we talk to a lot of our customers about, is the amount of change they're wanting to put in to maximize this opportunity. And we have this conversation with them every year, because obviously we're in the performance testing space, so they want to test in the way in which the site's going to be used when they get to peak. But now they're trying to cram all this change in to maximize that consumer journey, and maximize the new customers while also retaining the existing. So, you know, things like promotions, click and collect, is it on, is it off, is it on, is it off?
Yeah.
You know, new payment providers, new payment options to help people, you know, afford to buy the goods that they want. And all those, all those changes, I see, bring in that risk, which is something we work with them a lot on. Just wondering, from your perspective and the conversations you're having, how do you find your clients and other retailers, etc., are trying to balance that, you know, the amount of change that they're having to make and they want to make to maximize versus the risk it brings in, and how do they prioritize those changes as well?
I mean, if I just jump in here quickly, I think also just to kind of feed off the points that you both made. I think because the bread and butter for a lot of either agencies or in-house teams are there, and it's really about how do we personalize our messaging, our experiences, almost creating these unique digital stories for the different customers or audiences that we're targeting. It's just increased, you know, this year, because we're seeing new customers, we're seeing more new customer stories that we need to create. But to your point there, Alistair, you know, it's created this demand of, I want to test. And if I think outside of just media, so I mentioned at the beginning, I'm also responsible for analytics team, which does encompass Crow as well. There are more clients this year in our agency asking us to do more UX and Crow testing than ever before, because the data is there, the opportunity is there. And while it feels risky, on the flip side, it's not so risky, because traffic's up, there's an influx of new customers. It's the best time to test this stuff, because the results are coming through quicker than before. We're able to make some very quick decisions. And actually, I think what COVID's done, not just to brands, but also to agencies, it's made us more nimble. And maybe part of it is the fact that we're all at home and we don't have the commute anymore, so we've got a little bit more time to think about these things. Maybe it's the fact that COVID's forced us into making more decisions quicker, because, well, we've got no choice, we need to act now, and therefore that's rubbing off on everyone. So, you know, the ability to test, to be a bit more braver with our marketing, expand our marketing. Mark picked upon a point around conversation commerce. That's become a much bigger thing this year, whether it's through chatbots, through integrating certain chat functions within websites, or piggybacking off other technologies such as Facebook Messenger. But also, how do I keep the conversation going with consumers? Social's become even more important with brands, with, you know, people testing platforms they probably wouldn't even imagine testing, because they want to keep that conversation going. So it's certainly not the situation for every client that we work with or every experience that we've had this year, but I do feel a lot of our clients have become braver in this current situation, because they have the opportunity to test and use the data that is now available to them, that they may not have had because they were on a journey, but now I think kind of being thrown at the wall at the same time. So why not take advantage of it?
Yeah, I think so as well. Again, so me and Hannah, we've been on quite a few pitches over the last few months, and as we're getting closer and closer to peak, clients have been asking, well, are we able to make these changes? So they're looking to make a switch over to, say, a new agency very close to peak. We wouldn't normally be pitching right up until peak. So I think this year, lots of brands are willing to, okay, it makes sense for us, let's give it a go and let's take that risk. So I think for us, it's really about ensuring prospects and clients that there's quite a lot that we can do to make it as fail safe as possible. So for us, it's always about looking at those quicker wins, and there's always roadmaps that we plan out as part of onboarding clients. So it's just a case of, okay, we know that we're not going to be able to fully restructure 2 weeks before peak, but what we can do, we can overlay your high intent audiences. We can make sure you're bidding on the right keywords. We can ensure your best practices are in place. Like there's, even like last year, there was clients who we were working with who were doing, I think it was the week before Black Friday, we had a site migration, But it is possible, these things, I'd never do it again. Well, ideally I wouldn't want to, but it's always possible to do these things once they're planned in. And for us, it's always making sure, okay, there's so many priorities that we can plan for. It's like the Pareto's law. So 80% of our revenue from paid media is coming from about 20% of the groundwork and the foundations. But the bells and whistles we can always add on. But I think for us, it's, yeah, in this day and age, I suppose it's much more easy for us to run campaigns that won't really fall apart if things get a bit crazy over peaks. So I think for us, we're just trying to hold our clients' hands and say, okay, these are the things we need to focus on and make it that bit more digestible, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that point of holding the client's hands is a really important one, because they're looking for that support more and more in these times. They're looking for the partners that they trust to get them through these challenging times.